You've had a disaster movie. You've had an epic movie. Now, you'll watch an epic disaster. This movie is kind of a rom-com, but don't worry, it's not for chicks. Is it for dudes? Not really. Children or the elderly? Nuh-uh. Who's it for then, you might ask? I'll tell you. It's for the absolute lowest members of our society. Real scumbags. Absolute pieces of shit dirt. I was so sad watching this one. It really got my goat. This movie dares to ask the question, what if Hitch was a little bit shorter? This is a date movie. This is date movie.
Date movie. This is date movie.
This is date movie.
Roll the thing. The fucking whatever. Yeah.
What is
Go!
it? Which one?
Fucking
How's it go?
I don't Clayton, just hit it, dude. Just hit it, dude. Just play that funky music, dude.
Here we go. This movie's horny as shit.
Their assholes are always out. It's insane.
Airtight. Awesome.
I'm psychic in many ways.
That guy's had like 3 sandwiches this week. Let's fucking kill him.
That was, in a word, insane. 3, 2, 1, and Clayton is rolling my volume down.
I was actually turning us up.
Oh my God, Clayton said, turn it up a little. My name is Sir Maxim, and I've had 2 Celsiuses today.
Whoa.
Whoop, whoop. And Clayton's now tweaking things as I'm talking. But the point is, Celsius is the new coffee. And coffee replaced Red Bull. Red Bull before was just a good night's sleep, but babe, we don't have that anymore, okay?
No, sir. No, sir.
I don't know the last time I went to sleep before 11. I'm kidding. I did. When I was in Alabama for a week, I went to sleep at 10:30 and woke up at 10:30. I slept for 12 hours every single night. I wonder why, you know?
I have no idea.
When's the last time you got 12 hours of sleep?
Man, I can't remember the last time I got 7 hours of sleep.
You gotta fix that.
I've been trying. It's just like
You stay up late and you have to get up late.
Well, I have
early.
to get up so early, and I'm like going to bed a lot later than I used to.
Like,
but
you're going to
not
bed at 1,
enough
2,
to
yeah.
correct it. I'm going to bed at like now, sometimes 1 or 2. Like if I've got something going on, it's pretty rough.
And you have to get to work at 8. You clock in at 8.
I clock in at 8, which
That's
means
crazy.
And I don't give myself a lot of time in the morning either. I want to use as much sleep as I can.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I set my alarm for like 7:30.
That's good.
It's an 8-minute drive to where I work.
That's right.
So I wake up and I basically throw on clothes.
Yeah. It is a 2-minute walk for me. Not even 20 seconds.
Whoa.
To the desk. But still, I don't think
it takes
it's
you 20 seconds to get to your desk. 2 minutes was crazy still, but
yeah, I'm crawling to my desk. I think I need to get a damn car now. Because working at home obviously is amazing. No one's saying it's bad. Everyone likes it. But I do think it is there's such a thing as spoiling it. There's such a thing as your cereal only being sugar, right?
Yeah.
There's no oats. There's no discipline, you know, and that bites me in the arse, dude. That bites me in the arse. But again, my name is Sir Maxim. I am a nightlife icon in the city of Austin and the country as a whole. And I'm also known for playing saxophone. I am also the recipient of a year's supply of Raising Cane's box combos, period.
A year's supply that you have to eat within the next
90 days,
2 months.
which is not going to be hard at all, obviously. But it is a little bit of false advertising. That's okay. But I'm also a good friend. And I am a new homeowner, so that's crazy.
What? A new
I'm
one?
moving away, Clayton.
Oh my goodness!
But who are you?
Well, I'm Clayton. Where are you moving? What's happening? What are you talking about?
I am moving up the street. To a little place
that
called
seems pointed.
The Love Shack.
Oh my goodness!
What I'm like, guys, I'm moving out. I love you guys. I needed space alone. I moved in like 4 houses down.
I'm moving
liked our
next
location.
door with Josh, Lucas,
and Adriana.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just not personal. I just think I want to start doing improv with them, do a podcast with them, do Fallout stuff with them, and have fun with them.
Interesting.
But altogether, though, this is the podcast called Critical Darlings. This is a podcast where we talk about bad what? Movies. And we just don't let them off the hook.
No.
We take that bowls and fucking de-spunk your fucking bowls.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I did that number. I did a drag number with
that number.
Yeah, I did that number the other day. That I call that number is what I call that number is what I call whenever I like spank someone's balls. Hayden is in the kitchen. We record in the dining room.
He just
in the kitchen,
and I'm not exaggerating. He knocked our fridge over.
Yeah, and he's picking it up.
You never pay attention to me.
Oh, it was the other Hayden. I thought it was the other Hayden.
Oh, he wanted attention.
That's okay.
That's so
but
sad.
Basically, this is the podcast where we talk about bad movies. But
Bad
before we talk about
movies.
bad movies, we talk about myself, himself, ourselves, everybody's self.
Wow.
Clayton,
Wow.
what are your pronouns?
He, him.
Change them.
Yeah, there was a time
Yeah.
where I was like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
throw that, and I still think if I'm being
throw a they in there.
just throw it in there all willy-nilly. I still think if we're being honest, if you're really asking me how I feel about it,
Yeah.
I am not someone who feels like gender is necessarily something that applies in my own mind to me.
To
like
you.
I don't really think of myself as like gendered necessarily.
Yeah.
And so I was like, that feels right. And so then I felt like I should start using they. And,
Right.
and really like no pronouns I ever hear on myself. And I'm like, they feel wrong.
Uh-huh.
But I'm so used to he, him. And it truly like, it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just went, I just figure I'd make it simpler.
Yeah, I feel similarly. Like when I sometimes say like I'm a 24-year-old man. Like the word man doesn't necessarily feel right.
Yeah.
But I definitely don't think I'm a woman. I definitely don't feel like I am female.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel like when I hear the word like guy or like gay guy or gay boy or gay man, like that feels more correct. Like, so sometimes I'm like, do I base my whole sexuality or gender off of my sexuality? And who's to say? It's really a fun adventure.
Yeah.
I
Gender
one time
is a
thought-
social performance.
Yes.
And it can mean whatever you want it to mean.
Yes. I one time thought like the phrase, gender's not real, gender is fake. And it's like, if someone says that and believes that is great and good for them, but I like to think gender is real, but it is a performance. Like, it is not something you need to make any rules about, but like it is real and you can like revel in it. You can have a lot of fun with it and like really enjoy yourself with it. It's such a fucking shame that it's used to like weaponize. It's so stupid the way that everyone talks about it. Like,
I've never understood, because you can be a like man or woman in any way that you want.
Exactly.
And like you can like wear a dress, have long hair, have a vagina and boobies, and be a man.
Period.
And so that I have never understood like where any hard lines can be drawn as to like what makes like a man or woman versus like masculine or feminine traits.
Completely.
And so I've always in my ideal, and this is not me saying this is how it should be.
Clayton's
this
world.
is just what makes the most sense to me, is that those concepts don't exist anymore, and it's just traits.
How about this? Just think about this. Venus,
Penis.
exactly, and pagina.
Okay.
So already there we see a kind of queering of the genitals right there.
Venus really lucked out in this. Venus is like they
the
got the name of a
best.
goddess, of a planet.
Which honestly kind of feels like, well, of course, like the one associated with men gets that. Like,
well, but is it because it's got the V?
I love that we have that conversation. I love that was your response, because like that's brilliant. That's exactly what I was trying to do with that. let's take the conversation and flip it on its head.
Yes. Let's talk about vagina, folks.
So everyone talks about Venus. We're not talking about vagina enough.
Boys go to vagina to get more stupider.
Case in point, that sentence we just said.
Yes.
There was a drag queen named Pangina.
Okay.
She's so good. Pangina Heels. She's hot out of drag and she's hot in drag. So what's the point?
The name is Pangina Heels?
Yeah.
Okay. What?
Pangina Heels. I'm not really sure if it's like a pun or something. It's also spelled heels like healing, like HEALS.
Okay.
I think. But I think it's supposed to sound like heels. But she's from Thailand, I think. Yeah, she was like a judge on Drag Race Thailand. And then she became a competitor on like a fourth season or whatever. Regardless, people have been taking these words and going for decades at this point. But
true.
Before we dive too far into the Judith Butler of it all, okay, period. This is a podcast about movies, media, TV, everything. Clayton, what have you been taking into your eye sockets, babe?
I saw Love Lies Bleeding.
Really?
I did.
What'd you think about it? You didn't like it?
No, not at all. I thought it was not just not good, but like frustrating.
Did you think it was something more for lesbians?
I wish that lesbians got better movies.
Yeah, because there was the other one too, Drive Away Dolls. That was also not that good, is what I heard.
That I have heard that as well. I've at least heard that that's like fun, and I wish that obviously Love Lies Bleeding was not trying to be like a romp, but it was to me, and like genuinely,
yeah.
Anybody who likes this movie, I am like truly happy for you. I just think that I
want better.
I wish it was not a movie that seemed designed to make you feel bad.
That's what you felt?
Yeah. I mean, that's not even that is fine. But if you're going to do that, write characters.
I see what you mean.
It was just like there were a lot of places I think it fell short.
When did you see that? Just now?
I saw it about a week ago.
About a week ago.
Maybe it was on Wednesday. I don't actually remember.
Okay.
But yeah, the muscular character was written like a child. That
muscular character.
Yeah, there's the whole point is that it's Kristen Stewart and she falls in love with a bodybuilder.
Oh right, yeah.
Yes, who's gonna like go and compete in like women's bodybuilding. And
is that where their bodies all like orange and stuff?
Orange?
Never mind.
It's
like there's like the bodybuilding world where they're like all their bodies are orange. You know what I'm talking
about? I mean, like in bodybuilding,
like bodybuilding, like competitions where they're like flexing and doing all the weird poses and shit. And
yes,
their bodies
yeah,
are,
where they like spray themselves, like on site.
Yeah,
That's in the movie where she shows up to the bodybuilding competition and there's people like getting sprayed in the back of the room, and I was like, is that right? I guess it probably is because they seem wet.
Isn't that not okay?
Isn't
that like a
strange?
bad thing?
I mean, I feel like
what to think about that.
Bodybuilding in general, I assume that there's nasty business going on.
I don't want to assume people are using steroids. But
in the movie they are.
And there we go.
This is not a huge... This is like the first thing that happens.
That's okay.
But...
so spoilers for if you don't want to watch the first part of the movie.
Yeah. The reason they get together is that Kristen Stewart gives her steroids. And then that causes her to be like psychotic.
That is wrong. If I was there, I would have said, knock it off. Mm-hmm. Go meet a barista, Kristen. Go meet a pretty barista.
Yeah.
And how about do that instead?
How about
do that? But instead, she says, I'm going to do steroids. Girl, yeah, things are going to go wrong. I'm kidding. I don't actually have an opinion about this. But you hated it. Out of 10, what would you give it?
I didn't hate it.
You did.
I was very disappointed by it. I wanted to like it. I think it's probably like a 4 for me.
you didn't like Bottoms either.
I didn't. I'm worried that people are going to think that
I loved Bottoms.
There's some sort of trend.
Yeah, what's going on with that, man?
I promise.
What's going on with that?
I promise.
That is weird to me. But you know who's in Bottoms? Io DeBerry.
Yes.
So I'm so happy that she has had
she's blowing TF
yes,
up.
and I think the Jennifer Lopez shit is bullshit. Remember all that?
What?
Did you hear about this?
I don't think I did.
So on some podcast,
I'm still gonna watch J-Lo's movie.
Oh, Clayton. Wait, we should have watched it for the podcast, but I watched it with my friends. But because you and I aren't friends.
True.
But we're business partners.
We fake it for the podcast.
This is the only time that we even see each other. But Io DeBerry was on, I don't know what podcast she was on, but she was on a podcast where she said that J-Lo couldn't sing as a joke. She said J-Lo couldn't sing. But it's also kind of well known that J-Lo, maybe I shouldn't say anything because I don't want it to come back and bite me in the ass. But basically Io joked about J-Lo not being able to sing, and so then whenever Io was hosting SNL, J-Lo happened to be the musical guest, and this clip resurfaced, and people were like, look at this, isn't this funny? Because years ago, I don't know how recently, but some time ago, Io was like, J-Lo can't sing. And it's like, that probably would have happened to anyone, because I feel like everyone has a joke about some celebrity. You know what I mean?
It's so funny to think what would happen if either of us were successful and then clips from that. I feel like you're probably pretty safe, but I would be in huge trouble.
You said that you wish Zack Snyder died. Like he was dead. And so,
probably.
Yeah. And I don't wish death upon anyone.
And I don't actually, but the idea of what I'm saying. Maybe.
It's okay. But then Io was like, no, so someone posted this, and I think it went kind of viral. At least it got to the attention of Io, and there was some SNL sketch where, as part of the sketch, Io kind of broke the fourth wall a little bit and apologized to J-Lo, and it was just blown out of proportion because Io, I wouldn't say Io's a comedian, but at least a comedic actor, and also an actor. So it's everyone is allowed to make jokes about people. Why are you taking the? And I don't know if it was this, but it's Io is an upcoming young black actress, and they're like, oh, look at these words she said. We're not gonna make any other male comedian confront some celebrity that he's with and apologize for some random comment he said on a podcast that was in as a joke. But they're like, Io, you have to fucking redeem yourself, and you need to atone for your sins. And then what made it worse was that J-Lo made a statement later, in an interview, and she was like, yeah, Io, at SNL, she came to my dressing room and she was crying and she apologized just about how she felt so bad that she said I couldn't sing. And then she heard me at sound check, and she heard that I could sing, actually, that I'm actually a really good singer. And she apologized, and she said she was so sorry. And of course I forgave her, because we all make mistakes. And it's you didn't have to say that. You didn't have to say she came to your dressing room crying.
Yeah. And
that you're actually a really good singer. Just take the L, J-Lo, JL. Sorry, that's a totally random tangent. I just really like Io DeBerry.
Yeah. And it's crazy to watch her go through something like that when Shane Gillis hosted SNL again after all that.
That is, oh my God. That, I can't even.
It shows truly how spineless SNL is, that they responded to the backlash and they were like, yeah, we'll not hire Shane Gillis, and then later they bring in fucking Elon Musk and all those people. And then eventually they're like, well, Shane Gillis seems to be, in the public conscious.
Yeah.
He's kind of hot right now, so we'll bring in Shane Gillis. And it's you are.
It's so
you're terrible.
Disappointing because I think so many of the comedians on SNL are very, very funny. So many of the improvisers are hilarious. So many people who have come from SNL in the past 10 years, I super admire. I loved SNL genuinely in middle school and in high school and in college, the whole cast. And so many of the writers are so fucking funny and so good, and have gone on to make incredible things like Julio Torres. And just for example, Julio is just incredible. Obviously Bowen Yang is a superstar. But
Julio Torres, is he
he has that movie Problemista coming out soon.
Okay, yeah. I think that's out as of
I believe it's
yesterday.
Out. Yeah. And I really want to see it because I really want to support him because like his stuff is so alternative and weird.
It looks fascinating. It looks so bizarre.
And all of Julio Torres' SNL sketches that he like primarily wrote are like iconically funny and like weird, but always have like a whimsical element. Like if you've seen like the Wells for Boys sketch, I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I don't think so.
But it's like Fisher Price selling like
Hayden Hartrick has seen Wells for Boys.
Yes,
He's
so
giving us
funny.
a thumbs up.
Whatever. Regardless, it's just such a shame that like that so many people cast SNL as a whole aside because of the producers and executives who are like these rich bigwigs like at NBC who make these choices, because so many of the actual people doing the work, like the writers and the like improvisers and comedians, are incredibly talented and do deserve like attention they get. Sorry, that's just my spiel. I am an SNL defender, but not of the institution, but of the people.
True.
Period.
It's a lot of very
Such a
talented
shame.
people on there.
So great. And upcoming, soon to be on SNL, Sir Maxim and Clayton Shawman, by the way.
We should do Weekend Update.
Also, I have rarely watched Weekend Update and not laughed. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
I think they're very funny. Regardless.
I don't watch a lot of SNL, but every Christmas time I go watch the
fucking
joke swap.
That is so good. It's a shame
very good.
that well, I love whenever they make fun of Colin Jost for being married to Scarlett Johansson at any point, or like him being like rich or going to Harvard or anything. Because that's very funny and true.
Yes.
Roast that boy. He can afford it.
That
He can
little
afford. Okay, but
fucking-
Siri Clayton, I'm done talking about this.
Yeah. Let's talk about. We're talking about a lot of SNL, which is like, it's like
It's
comedic.
referential pop culture, comedy.
Yes.
Yeah, would you say yes? You said SNL is kind of comedic.
It's
maybe.
comedic, but
It's
do we want to talk
mostly
about
drama.
like comedy?
This is real comedy.
capital D comedy.
Every single week.
Every
on this
one of them.
podcast, except for sometimes. Oh my! I'm burping. Ugh. Except for the month of December, except for anytime we do recaps, except for anytime we're talking about 100 movies, except anytime we're doing a bracket.
Yeah.
We discuss bad movies and we prank each other with them. We ambush each other with them.
Mm-hmm.
So the previous movie that was ambushed was Pup Star. Iconic film, which I've really absorbed into my brain. I think about it a lot.
It's pretty awesome.
Lot. And Clayton got back at me by requesting we watch what damn movie?
By requesting that we watch fucking date movie.
Did you forget?
I forgot really quick. I was so ready to talk about it and then I forgot what it was.
It ain't his fault. He's out here getting news. All right.
We watched in the past. We have watched epic movie, and we have watched disaster movie. Disaster movie being one of the worst movies we've ever seen. A very terrible movie.
But this date movie is the first movie that is both written and directed by, because keep in mind, these people wrote Scary Movie, but then their script was taken from them and it was kind of altered. And so like they were credited as writers, but they didn't really see the project being born. But this date movie, disaster movie, epic movie, and several other movies I would like to bring up in this podcast was written and directed by two men named Jason Friedberg and Aaron Seltzer. Mm-hmm. Okay, and just for kind of an idea of who these men are, let us read words that Josh Rosenblatt of the Austin Chronicle, our city, said.
Are these the words that we've read previously on this podcast?
Yes, I would like to refresh them.
Please do.
There's no nice way to say this, so I'll just say it. Writer/directors Friedberg and Seltzer are a scourge. They're a plague on our cinematic landscape, a national shame, a danger to our culture, a typhoon-sized natural disaster disguised as a filmmaking team, a Hollywood monster wreaking havoc on the minds of America's youth and setting civilization back thousands of years. Austin critic and animator Corey Coleman has claimed that he is, quote, bothered by the duo's films, as he believed
Me too.
they are dumbing down the film industry and popular culture in general, saying, yes, we all know that a lot of movies put aside the more artistic aspects of filmmaking to solely make a profit. We are not naive. But the films that these two directors make are so blatant at being nothing more than a juvenile finger pointing at an image or mention of a popular trend that, to me, they seem exploitative of a young culture raised to have an ever-decreasing attention span thanks to the internet and channel surfing. Okay, boomer. This may sound a little crazy, but I think it shows a slight de-evolution in what people will accept as entertainment.
Yeah.
He got boomer in the middle there, but I do agree he's reaching at a very, very salient point.
It is crazy with such like obscure shitty music. I guess some of them, they have made money at the box office. I always forget that
these are big pulls.
But it still feels like these are not like movies that dominated pop culture. Like for the most part, these movies are forgotten. And to have quotes like this that say that they are ruining like entertainment as a whole really speaks to just how terrible these fucking movies are.
Completely. So we watched Date Movie, the first iteration of the what goes on to be. It's kind of like Patient Zero, right?
Yeah.
This is kind of like the first outbreak of a plague that takes over.
It's like in a zombie movie or show when they like cut back and show like what it was like.
He
when
didn't
it all
wash his
started.
hands exactly.
Yeah.
In Contagion.
Yeah.
So Date Movie is a 2006. Keep that in mind. 2006 American romantic comedy parody film, directed by Seltzer and produced by Paul Schiff and Friedberg. Paul Schiff. Wait, oh my God.
There's a third one?
Paul Schiff. I was thinking of Adam Schiff. I think Adam Schiff is a Congress member.
Okay.
And I was like, there's no way. There's no way.
At first, I thought of Paul Scheer, which would have made me very sad.
Well, you know Al Franken?
He
He was a senator, I think, who later had to he got ousted because he did some gross stuff. But
because he
regardless,
made epic movie.
yeah, but he was a writer for SNL.
What?
I believe. I think for in original SNL. I think
that's interesting.
It was released on February 17th, so 3 days after Valentine's Day. So it didn't even fucking what's the fucking point?
That is actually crazy that they didn't release that before.
Come on,
Valentine's Day.
Are
that
you
stupid?
Like they even dropped the ball on their first movie. It's a parody of the romantic comedy film genre and mostly references My Big Fat Greek Wedding, Meet the Fockers, Hitch, Legally Blonde, which I don't remember, and Bridget Jones' Diary.
I remember that I remember there being. I don't think I would hesitate to say mainly references because it's one joke, I think. But she does the Harvard audition tape thing.
Oh, you're right. Yes, you're right. And Bridget Jones' Diary. Though reviews for it were more positive than Jason Friedberg and Aaron Seltzer's later films, Date Movie was panned by critics but was a box office success, grossing almost blank million on a budget of $20 million. How much?
Oh man.
Budget of $20 million, and it was a box office success.
Oh god.
It was not like a runaway success, but it was a success.
I'm gonna say. I feel like I honestly I've actually been on kind of a hot streak, but every time I still feel like I'm gonna embarrass myself. Oh my god. I'm gonna say $53 million.
It made $85 million.
Okay.
$85 million on a $20 million budget.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you really think about that, I know this is a big conversation that's happening right now about budget, big budget movies having so much money. Imagine $20 million. Just imagine, what does that look like? That's a lot of money for anything. For anything.
Just think about what a 50th of that money would do for your life.
Yeah.
And then think about.
Yeah.
It was used to make this fucking movie.
And even a 50 of this could go towards math education for this young boy who can't speak. A 50th of that could even go to some kind of cool indie film or something.
Yeah.
Even $5 million could go to we didn't really like Skinamarink or Skinamarink 2. Don't even rink about it. But still, that was made on a budget of $1 or whatever, right? It was famously IGN was it's made 306 times its budget. It's the budget of $1,000, obviously. But still, you could make 15 Skinamarinks with that.
That's true.
And obviously, that's a conversation that people have been having for a zillion years now.
Yeah.
Especially at the Oscars.
Uh-huh.
But still, it bears reminding. Okay.
Very true.
All right. So it made 85 million buckaroos. Okay. And it was released in 2006. So really, really think about February 17th, 2006. What was the world like in 2006? So George Bush had gotten reelected, so in the middle of his second term. Mm-hmm. So this is 5 years after 9/11. The war in the Middle East is just going crazy right now. But it's
people
2 years. But people were fed up because 2 years later, Obama gets elected.
True.
Yeah.
There was great unrest. America was, we were losing soldiers here. And then, of course, there was terrible tragedies happening over in the Middle East. And then what we got
was
in our theaters.
So kind of our Shirley Temple, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, Shirley Temple during World War II, people made Shirley Temple movies.
Whoever they were.
Yeah. In order to entertain the people at home, to distract them from the wars going on.
Uh-huh.
And so Friedberg and Seltzer said, we need to Shirley fucking Temple these people. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, we walked into the offices of Disney and said, we want to make history. And they did that.
What is that reference?
Debbie Ryan on like a red carpet for for Radio Rebel or something. Right?
Oh, Debbie. Oh, Jesse.
Radio Rebel. We should literally watch Radio Rebel.
I know.
Honestly, keep your eyes peeled.
Okay.
I would honestly love Radio Rebel.
That would be awesome.
Except I request a lot of bad Disney movies, so I want to mix it up. But Radio Rebel's on there. But also, Friedberg and Seltzer made Date Movie, and then they kept making movies in 2007. Meet the Spartans and Disaster Movie were 2008. And Vampires Suck was 2010. So even by 2010, they made 4 movies. That's 4 years of your life. So if you made Date Movie in fucking 2020, and like you've made 4 movies since then. Like your entire life is going from studio to studio, writer's room to writer's room, jumping on all these different sets for 4 of these terrible movies. That's your career. You are an adult man doing that.
Doing that with these movies, I think it would ruin my life. Like I don't think I would ever feel like a person again. Like I would hate myself.
Your name would be attached to that.
Dude, when we get famous, we are never going to be able to be in a Friedberg and Seltzer movie.
Fuck. Hey, that's okay. We're going to be in a Chalman and Maxim film because my first name is Sir and my last name is Maxim.
True.
I think when I'm in my 40s and 50s, I'm gonna be an author who writes under a pen name.
Okay. I support it. What books would you write?
Really good ones.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize.
Really good ones. In fact, some of the best books ever written. Watch, this clip is going to get replayed when I'm walking across the stage for the Best Book in the World award.
At the Oscars.
Yeah, they just combined all the awards after the nuclear fallout.
Honestly, they should.
Do you think you're going to live to 50?
Probably not. Maybe 30 if I'm lucky.
Yeah, we're ticking down the years. Mm-hmm. You're going to turn 26 in like 5 months.
Don't even.
By the way.
Oh, God. It's a vile thing, aging.
Yeah.
My bones are getting weaker every day.
Are you going to write a book by the time you die? Are you going to write a memoir, do you think?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. What's it going to be about?
What's
your memoir going to be about?
I think I'm planning on something really exciting happening to me at some point in my life.
Yeah.
So
I'm just betting.
Probably just be about that. I don't know what it'll be yet. But.
How I got struck by lightning thrice.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god. The time. How I recovered from being struck by lightning twice, or The Virtue of Lying by Clayton Shelton.
Whoa.
That's really good.
Or
That's really good.
Getting struck by lightning the third time.
And he actually got struck by lightning the third time.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever watch or read the Chris Colfer? I guess you didn't really know about Chris Colfer until you started watching Glee.
No.
Right?
By the way, can I just say,
yes.
The more I've started watching Glee, the more I've started having like genuine feelings about it.
Yeah.
Chris Colfer is a legendary talent.
Completely.
I think. He is awesome.
Yeah, there's been some recent discourse I've specifically seen about Chris Colfer. It's like how that was like perfect time, perfect person, perfect place for him. Like the role of Kurt, like he was Kurt.
Absolutely.
Originally, Kurt was not in the show. Like he tried out for Artie, and I think Ryan Murphy liked Chris Colfer so much that he created Kurt for him.
Fuck yeah,
And I feel
that makes sense
completely. If the show was without Kurt, but it had the rest of the characters, I think it could have still been a success, but
just not
would have
nearly as good.
Such a huge aspect of it. Like
at this point, like Kurt is, he's like one of the main driving forces,
Completely.
like one of the main reasons that you still watch it.
Yeah, he has like a big arc every season. Like I know it's like good of main characters, but typically with shows like this that go on for like 6 seasons, there's always a part where it kind of dies off with characters. But like, I feel like Ryan Murphy knew that Kurt was a big hit, like that he had a big hit in season 1. And so then season 2 they introduce Blaine, and then season 3 I feel like Blaine and like Kurt are really like a big focus. Season 4, like totally, like Kurt never leaves the show.
I think part of it too is like it's the same thing where like in Community,
Glee rewatch podcast. Please,
that would be awesome.
Yeah,
genuinely. In Community, the way like Dan Harmon, originally Jeff Winger was his insert.
Oh yeah,
and then he realized he's like, well, actually, I'm Abed.
That's a good.
And then that became Abed became more and more like the perspective character of the show.
Yeah,
and I think it seemingly Kurt was always. It always felt like he's not that I know anything about Ryan Murphy really,
right? But
it always felt like a self-insert in the fact where it's like, okay, this person's stories all feel a lot more real. Like they feel like things that have maybe already happened to somebody in real life.
Very grounded.
And that just leads to him getting all the best, most interesting stories.
Yes.
And like the relationship between Kurt and his dad is all. This
so
is
good.
We just
about date movies.
ate so much of the date movie topic time.
And totally, and but of course, last thing about that. So much of Rachel's storyline is about ambition of like this very lofty goal, which very few people ever actually achieve. Like getting on Broadway. So her story is very specific, and Kurt's is very specific too. But I feel like you said, it's way more grounded. Like someone watching Glee probably relates to Kurt more than they actually relate to Rachel.
Absolutely.
Kurt or
she's a cartoon
Mercedes.
character.
Yeah, completely. God, and Kurt, Chris Colfer and Amber Riley, who plays Mercedes, are among the cast members who, like, since the show have done very different things than the show. And specifically Amber Riley has talked about Glee. It's like once the NDAs have expired, she just goes off.
Oh man, I desperately need to hear that.
Yes, fully. So like once you finish the show, you just I honestly I should start collecting like interviews by Amber Riley that we can watch after. Because she later goes on to be in Dreamgirls on the West End, and she like does amazing in that. I really, really hope one day she gets like a Tony or something. She totally deserves it. Regardless,
it is we say this all the time. It is insane watching her next to some of the people on that show.
She's
and like every time where they're like, well, we need a solo, and they're like, come on, it's got to be Rachel, and it's like, are you stupid? Are you fucking stupid?
And then there are moments where Mercedes and Santana team up. You might have even seen them. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Where it was River Deep Mountain High.
Yes. That was life changing. That was awesome.
Song. That's a song people do in drag all the time because it's so good. Before I even did drag or saw drag, I would listen to that song when I was like 18 and just be like, I want to perform this. Like, I just fucking love this. It's so fucking good. Like, their rendition of it is so good. Honestly, arguably better than the original. All right.
Should we do what if we did a Critical Darlings episode? We had the Glee. What if we did a follow-up?
Glee revisit it? Yeah,
that's like
I love that.
2 seasons into Glee, let's talk. And we bring Ellis on as well.
I love that after you finish season 2. Yes. I like watch the season 2 finale. I would love that so much.
Hell yeah. We should honestly just do it now for every time Ellis and I finish a season.
Yeah.
we can have a little podcast
Completely.
where we just an episode of Critical Darlings where we go over it.
Yeah.
We all watch the finale together and then we discuss the season,
the themes,
yes.
where it went wrong, where it inevitably always goes wrong, and where it inevitably always comes back home, baby. Always comes back home. Glee really, really revels in that. This is so funny that we're like Glee has hijacked the date movie episode because so this is actually a good point. Like date movie and Glee are totally at odds because date movie approaches comedy from a very, very cynical view. I feel like it is super superior, specifically in the later movies, like with Juno, like whenever the character of Juno is like handled as if she's like some stupid, like girl who says smart stuff, but the writers clearly hate smart women, but it really, really feels like Friedberg and Seltzer approach things like that review earlier said, from trying to accrue capital and trying to get, God, I'm such a Marxist, trying to get money out of their movies, trying to like make people go, I recognize that. There's no earnesty and there's no heart in what they do in their art, and that is so disappointing because if you're given $20 million, you can't even wrap up a ham-fisted like attempt at a moral at the end of your movie. No, it's never been like that. It's never been that for them. Such a fucking bummer. Like it's such a bummer that you are given the gift of being able to I was going to say you're given the gift of being able to write, but I wouldn't necessarily say that these are gifted writers. It's just a bummer. But whereas on the other spectrum, Glee approaches things from there's like an earnesty with Glee, which can become very cringe, like when viewed like retrospectively. Specifically, it's like this, you can kind of view it as like maybe this like liberal earnesty that kind of views things as maybe like too simplistic or it's too much heart. Regardless, whatever. I'm not here to talk about that. It's just like so opposite of anything that date movie ever tries to do. Anything that these men ever try to do. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
They are. Would you like to? Because we haven't talked a whole lot about the content, and I feel like it's hard to do.
Yeah.
Because it's just like one thing after the other. So I have, as we have done with the previous movies.
Yes.
I have made a list here. Let me find it. Cool. I've made a list of, as I've done with the other movies, all of the references in it.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do a little bit of Max. Do you remember how many Epic movie had?
No, like 50 something.
It had 49.
49.
Disaster Movie had 51.
That's crazy. I feel like this one had fewer.
Would you like to place your bets? I was going to ask you for a guess.
I'll say it only had like 41.
Okay, 41. I'm going to read them through now. And I will say as well, like, I was looking at the other lists earlier, and it's just like every reference I was looking at was like kind of crazy.
Yeah.
A lot of these references are just like a celebrity.
Yeah. And not even really a reference. It's just like a cameo, like Carmen Electra.
This is like freaking Brad Pitt. Yeah, yes. Carmen Electra shows up.
It's just like, that's not like a reference. Like it's just her.
So I'm gonna go through these. We don't have to talk in detail about all of these,
Thank
but
God.
we can talk about maybe the crazy ones.
Trust.
The movie starts with Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, like the
opening scene gag. That was odd. It's just like
a dream sequence.
Yes, it's the first joke that we ever see Friedberg and Seltzer make, and it's nonsensically bad.
Is she in the fat suit in the dream?
Yes, she is.
So I would say that's the very first joke. Like
that's true.
Opens up
the first joke they ever make is a fat suit
that you recognize. I would assume
Allison Hannigan.
Yes, because it's 2006. She was in How I Met Your Mother.
She was in American
right?
Pie. I think she probably would have been pretty recognizable for that at the time.
But regardless, you can tell. I don't know if you can necessarily tell we can tell it's a fat suit, but like right away, if you had no idea who this was, regardless, I feel like her obesity is used as a joke immediately. Like that's like so I would say the first joke we ever see Friedberg and Seltzer make is a fat joke. So just think about that.
Should Allison Hannigan count as a How I Met Your Mother reference?
Yeah.
Napoleon Dynamite. Up next, Bridget Jones.
Yes.
Then Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, because of the manhole.
Yes, we start getting into this little dance sequence here.
Yeah. Which I would say that's a signature thing that almost every Friedberg and Seltzer movie that we've seen has. At least it was in a disaster movie and this movie where like there's a dance off.
Yes. Oh God.
with the fucking enchanted princess.
Yeah. Every time I think about that, I think of like the mental state I was in when that came on the screen, and it's just like it's not good to return to.
Also, I think that was before either of us had our jobs that we have now.
Absolutely. It was.
Which is like to think that you like are in a customer service job for 8 hours.
Yeah.
You're exhausted. And then it's like, okay, let's go home and watch this movie. And we watched that movie.
Let's watch a movie, something that's supposed to bring light into our life,
joy,
levity to us.
Instead, we watched that. Anyway,
up next, my milkshake. My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard.
Yeah,
that's what they're dancing to. Up next, my big fat Greek wedding. Her whole family's based off of that, and they basically do it, but racist version.
I've never seen that movie.
Ellis loves it.
I don't like weddings. I'm not a wedding person. I don't like wedding culture. Particularly because it's so. Now this is going to be such a random thing.
Sure.
Tell me if you understand what this means.
Okay.
There, movies about weddings and weddings themselves are just so bright. Like they're always like in the daytime. There's so much sunlight, so much like white cloth. And it's like this is so bland and
a little
flavorless.
bit taxing on the eyes.
Yes, it's like snow blindness.
And I've noticed I think there's an era of wedding movies that are like that.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that in more modern movies that focus around a wedding, they have changed it to still be bright in a way, but the palettes are usually very pastel, very like khaki and like coral type colors.
Yes.
And like there will of course be the white dress, but I think they really try to play that down. I think it was probably something that genuinely people noticed was off-putting.
Yeah, squarely in this era. Like I feel like 2000s through like mid 2000s is like kind of when I feel like it was changed. You'll also look at like Bridesmaids, how they're all wearing, like in the movie Bridesmaids, they're all wearing those like hot pink dresses, like versus something that maybe in the past would have been more. Anyway, keep going.
Up next, Hitch.
I was not aware of this, but then you explained it to me.
Yes. Up next, I'm about to read off a list of these are about to be like 10 names in a row. Star Jones, Brad Pitt, Jennifer Aniston, Jessica Simpson, Nick Lakey, Ben Affleck, Gwyneth Paltrow, Jennifer Lopez, Jennifer Garner, Matt Damon, Whitney something, Bobby something, Kobe, Shaq, Ellen, and Tom Cruise. All of those are referenced in the Hitch scene.
So, okay, real quick on that. Again, this is 2006. That's your pantheon of like celebrities.
Yes.
That is so boring. That is so
absolutely
fucking boring. To be someone who was into pop culture in 2006 must have been hell. That must have been hell.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Up next, Prince Charming shows up.
Anyway.
I don't super remember it, but then they do The Bachelor.
Yes.
And they actually have Chris from The Bachelor.
Right.
And I remember there was a point in my life where I was like, this guy's awesome. And then he got in trouble for going to a... Oh, God, what's it called? It's like the Confederate Party.
What?
It's like these... Oh, God.
Like those like Southern pageants or whatever?
Yeah, I think so. I can't remember what they're called.
Like the Ellie Kemper thing?
I don't know who that is.
From The Office.
Oh.
Ellie Kemper?
What did she do?
She was like, when she was like 18, she was crowned like Miss KKK or whatever.
But like basically, I think we're thinking of the same thing. Then they do Pimp My Ride, where it's like Pimp My Bitch or something.
Isn't like she the one? Yeah, that's where she goes from fat suit to not fat suit.
Yes, he takes her to a shop and they make her pretty. And there's some really horrid prosthetics and like effects, and it's disgusting.
Yes. I hate so when watching this movie, I feel like it is when trying to take down this movie, it is less effective to try to do it from like a moralistic standpoint, because this movie was not made in good faith. It's not trying.
No.
It's like obviously not. It's more so just being like, this is lazy and this is not creative. This is not funny. It's like, obviously I'm not going to be like, this is problematic. Am I still
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. This is problematic. Everyone knows it's problematic. That's like they're doing it because of that. They're doing it because it's edgy, or not edgy, but like, you know what I mean? Like it's pushing buttons and it's things you shouldn't say out loud, but we like to say things out loud that people don't like to, whatever. It's lazy and it's not funny, and I don't think you're a good comedian or a good writer if you do that. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely. Next is Mario Kart. They play Mario Kart. I think they put a PlayStation inside of her or something. They play Mario Kart while they're pimping her.
I remember that.
Darth Vader. When they like take her out of the thing. When they finish pimping her, she's like Darth Vader, and then they pan back to Hitch, and he's Yoda. That's the next reference, is Yoda. The Price is Right.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
Then they do the orgasm scene from When Harry Met Sally,
which I was not familiar with.
Yeah, it's like the line like, "I'll have what she's having." That's where that comes from.
That's right.
Then Legally Blonde, they do the Harvard audition tape, and then that turns into the next reference, Girls Gone Wild.
Mm-hmm.
Because
did you ever watch anything like that as a kid? No, you like weren't even. You wouldn't even have access to that.
I wouldn't have had access to that. I remember there was, not to get too into that, but I remember there was a subreddit called Girls Gone Wild that was just for anyone
lifting
to
up their
post booby
shirts.
pics.
Oh.
And
that is pretty wild. That makes sense.
I was like, that's wild.
That's an appropriate name. I one time was channel surfing when I was like 11 or something, and I saw that late at night, and I was like, what? It was like, come on the boob ship or whatever. It was like an ad for like a cruise ship, and it was like, girls go crazy. Like they lift up their shirts and it was like censored. And I remember being like, I think I'm supposed to think this is hot. So wow, this is really hot. Like I think I'm turned
supposed
on.
to like this, so I
like
it.
And I tried so hard to find it again. Like I would try so hard to find that on TV, and I never found it.
Yeah, man, coming up, not knowing what horny's about. That's crazy. It's a bad feeling.
Yeah.
Up next, the song "Candy Shop," like you lit my lollipop. Then this is not a great word that I'm about to say, but it's just the name of the thing. Bum fights. They do.
I didn't even know about this until you told me about this.
Yeah, they attack a homeless person on the way home from their first date, and it's a funny little thing that they do.
The fact that that's even a thing in the real world.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah, people see them as like a different like species,
not
almost.
human. Yeah, that is horrible.
Disgusting stuff. And that was being done before we even had like anti-homeless architecture and stuff like that. And that was at a time where
fucked up.
Up next, Meet the Parents / Fockers. We'll count that all as one thing.
Yeah.
Then Michael Jackson, in parentheses, pedophile. Not just a Michael Jackson reference, but
that
him
is right.
attacking a child.
That is right. That whole subject matter was like fucking a gold mine for writers like this. Like they loved that shit.
They sure do. Then Lord of the Rings.
Right.
Yeah. Then the movie The Wedding Planner.
I often forget that Lord of the Rings was like exists in the era directly before this movie. Like the 2000s, like early 2000s. Because I was not really raised on Lord of the Rings, really. Like I kind of came to it later.
Because Lord of the Rings, Two Towers came out in I think 2002 or 3.
Right. And then 2005 was the best it was Best Picture, Return of the King or whatever, right? I think.
I believe so.
Yeah.
But either like not long after 9/11, they released a movie called
I didn't even
The
catch
Two
that.
Towers.
That's what you were saying. That's so funny. The 9/11 towers.
Yeah. The Wedding Planner, then Taco Bell.
Taco Butt was what it was.
Right. God.
What's the joke there? That it's a butt.
Well, it's a
It's a butt.
Then Pretty Woman. Then Best Buy. Then What Women Want, the movie where Mel Gibson can hear women's thoughts. Then Britney Spears.
Classic.
They have a Britney Spears lookalike that shows up, and Max and I just thought that it was
We were
her.
like, "You're kidding!"
We were like, "Whoa!" And that they found a really good one.
Like, yeah, incredible. Derek Barry. If you know Drag Race, you know that.
Okay. Kill Bill.
Right.
The movie Dodgeball, in a way that was very weird and confusing, and I don't know what the reference.
Yeah, it just
was.
It
was very fucking bizarre.
Yeah.
Insane Clown Posse I have written down here. I don't fucking remember that at all.
Oh god, I remember like there being a fucking thing with that. Oh god, I don't remember. It's crazy to me. No, remember because I was talking about it. I was like, don't juggalos like do crime or whatever? Like aren't they like?
I
criminals or
remember
something?
us talking about it. I don't remember what it was in the
Discussion
movie.
about the ICP.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they were like I didn't know that.
A formal posse.
I didn't realize they were a government recognized posse. Yeah.
Lil Jon.
Yeah.
Because it was funny. He would go,
is that-
okay.
Oh, he says, okay.
I think he says yeah too, but yeah, he just says things loud.
Yeah.
Say a little prayer for you.
Yeah. That was so crazy.
It was
the one moment of like there were like jokes in it, but it was like a sincere group number
Kind
of them
of?
all singing that together.
It was like sincere, but also the wedding planner, who
Yeah.
was Jennifer Lopez, her like ass was playing the piano.
Oh yeah.
Um,
It was probably the most sincere these movies ever get.
yes, that is
which
true.
is not saying much, but like it was relatively sincere. And I love that song, and so I was honestly jamming to that. It's kind of a good time.
Then we have 16 Candles,
Yes.
and then I wrote Twins ?
What? Oh,
I don't remember.
I feel like you brought that up, but I don't even remember. And then Carmen Electra was at the very end. And
Yes.
then King Kong like smashed her or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
But so that there's there's still more. I was trying to remember what Twins
God,
was.
I thought that was the it.
No. There's still more. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
God.
You've Got Mail. Sleepless in Seattle. Then 2 advertisements that are basically references. T-Mobile Sidekick and a Trio 650.
I don't remember any of that.
They're phones, and it's just advertisements that they do basically, where they do the classic like and we are doing an advertisement. Isn't it funny how obvious it is?
Yeah.
Jerry Maguire, Notting Hill, Wedding Crasher, King Kong, Carmen Electra, and then in the credits we get the last reference, the last new reference, which is in the bloopers. Somebody makes a Bill Cosby reference.
Oh, yeah.
Bring the tally. We've got epic movie at 49.
No fucking way.
Disaster movie at 51. Those were both pretty neck and neck. And again, I also would have thought that this had the least references, putting this movie at 61 references. To be fair, it is padded out by one scene where they list off a bunch of celebrities.
That's right. Yeah.
But still, I think that is
That
an
counts.
indicator of just how soulless this fucking movie is.
Yeah. So knowing all of that, what, why, and what do you really think this movie says about the time it was made and the film industry, Clayton?
I think it would be somewhat. I think it would be in bad faith, maybe, to say that this represents the time and maybe more that it represents the people and what they're in. Because I think their audience for this movie is children and like people that I don't bother to consider the opinions of.
Completely. Yeah.
And frankly, if somebody liked this movie, I don't respect you, and you shouldn't be respected or taken seriously.
I also think that not this movie beat for beat, but a movie of this ilk could probably come out in any era. Like,
yes,
it would appeal to some people. I do feel like, though, there is a reason that these movies did well in the time period that they did. I don't want to go all psychoanalytical. Like, I do have thoughts of, like, this is kind of happening in like a more cynical era of America, I would suspect. Cynical in a different way than we're cynical today. Like, more so, it just felt like a very angry time, like, because of 9/11 and also, like, again, pre-Obama. My mind always goes to stuff like this, so maybe I'm just, like, totally going wrong here. But, like, there's a reason that, like, they came out with a date movie, and then they came out with, like, their other movies, and then Vampires Suck was 2010, and then that was the last one that did well and got a large theatrical release. But they continued to make them up until they made something called The Hungry Games, which you can only assume what that's a reference to. Let me just double check. And they made the Starving Games in 2013. Best Night Ever. I don't know what that is. And then they made something called Super Fast in 2015, which is, of course, Fast and Furious. Sometimes marketed as Super Fast 8, which I do think is funny. And that came out in 2015, and that did not do well at all. And it was not really released widely theatrically.
I think it just showed up on Netflix, if I remember correctly.
I don't even, really. It says VOD, so stuff like that. But I wonder, like, if there is, like, a reason that those movies only really did well kind of up until 2010 and then kind of stuck. I remember seeing Vampires Suck in the theaters.
I think, honestly, I feel like people... I don't think that this movie did well because people liked it. I think it did well because, like, Scary Movie, for example. Yeah. Similar, but I would feel bad comparing it too heavily to something like this. Yeah. And I think people were expecting it to be like Scary Movie. They were probably they saw a comedy with all these silly references. They thought of that. Yeah. And they wanted to go see a movie like that. And I think eventually the trick stops working.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, similar to, like, why, like, parody songs aren't popular anymore. Like, where, like, especially for, like, kids and stuff, or, like, kids and teens and young adults, like, thinking that stuff is funny, and then that just oversaturation, and it becomes not funny again, and then it probably comes back, like, once it stops, like, 20-year cycle or whatever, like, fashion or whatever. But, like, yeah, I think you're right. Probably, I don't know. I honestly am just so interested in why someone would make something like this. Like, I want to know, like, I want to know why and why it kept happening.
I mean, it's just like classic, like, men who grow up and never lose their, like, middle school sense of humor. People who don't actually have any talent for comedy, but think that they can replicate that by pushing the envelope and doing things like that. Max, can I ask you a question?
What's up?
Out of 10
movies,
how many movies would you give this movie?
0.5 movies. I give it a short film. Not even. I give it a teaser trailer.
Yeah. It's going to be a 1 for me as well.
It's going to be a whopping 1.
Absolute dog shit movie. But maybe we can move on to something hopefully better, but who knows?
Last thing.
Sure. Yeah.
This, I think what you say is so true. And I do think this is just an iteration of it. That type of stuff never goes away because it is human nature to parody things. Literally, like what some people consider the first novel, Don Quixote, is a parody of novellas.
Is it? I thought it was Don Coyote.
It is.
It's Don Quixote?
Are you serious?
No.
Okay. Oh shit! Sorry, I'm knocking shit over. But what some consider the first novel was just a parody of stories about chivalry, about knights, and about like knights in shining armor. He's like a stupid knight, and that is so interesting to me. Like the first piece of this new type of story, a novel, is like epic movie. It's like nothing happens. It's so like shitty. And then I also think of, this might be like so crazy that I'm going here, I also think of Pompeii. How people, there's like the graffiti in Pompeii of people being like, so and so has a giant cock and so sucks this guy's dick or whatever.
Yes.
And it's like,
or even like watching monkeys and the way that they joke with each other. It's like
duh. Like this is
there
always
humor in a sense always goes back to our like basic caveman instincts.
Yeah.
And there's something interesting and fun about that.
There is something. I'm not saying I would want to watch Date Movie over and over.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same reason like
human nature.
We've learned that we can wear clothes now. we
don't have to throw shit at each other.
Yeah.
But you know what I think you know what I'm getting at. Like that
absolutely.
It's just there is something so like timeless about a movie such as this, that it's timelessly bad, timelessly panned. There will always be horrible movies like this, continuously for all eternity, and that is an evil we must cope with.
True.
But speaking of evil, Clayton, do you believe in Greek gods?
I do. Oh my goodness. Are we gonna? Well, sorry. I'll let you finish.
So.
Okay.
I have been reflecting a lot on my life and who I am and what I want to do in my life. And I have been told many times that I should do drag on roller skates.
Okay.
And do you see where I'm going here?
Less so now.
Okay. Do you love music?
I do.
You love live action movies that take place in a fantastical world, not unlike our own.
It's not Starlight Express.
It is not Starlight Express, but it is a movie that is very in the same universe, not universe, world. It is kind of a spiritual sibling of that.
Okay.
It is not about trains, planes, and automobiles, but it is kind of about, let's just say, this movie changed the face of camp.
Okay.
And some say it marks the downfall of camp into the 80s, because camp had a heyday in the 60s and 70s. And then kind of, camp enters the 80s, Reagan appears, and it kind of gets relegated. Here he goes again. Kind of gets relegated to, the Muppets and shit like that. But this movie is beloved by people who love weird movies. And Olivia Newton-John and Gene Kelly and Michael Beck. This is a little movie called 1980s Xanadu.
Oh wow. I know the name of this. I don't know anything about this.
So all those things I just talked to you about it, does any of that ring a bell at all?
Not at all. Not a lick.
How about this? I'll give you this.
Okay.
Struggling artist Sonny Malone is trapped in a dull job painting album covers.
Okay.
Dull.
Yeah.
He is instantly attracted.
Poor thing.
I know. He is instantly attracted to Kira, an anonymous woman randomly photographed in the background of one of his assignments, but no one is able to identify her. Visiting the auditorium where the cover was shot, Sonny finds the mysterious beauty, an ageless Greek muse, who encourages him to team up with old-fashioned Danny McGuire to build a roller skating disco.
Okay.
This was adapted into a stage musical, which I saw in high school and fucking fell in love with.
Hell yeah. I'm excited.
It came out in 1980. It is insane. It stars Olivia Newton-John. Let's get physical. There's kind of no other way to describe it other than go fucking see it.
Okay, I'm really excited.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It has a 30% on Rotten Tomatoes, so it is a bad movie.
Okay.
It's kind of like the Mamma Mia 2 of the 80s.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I guess with that,
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you wanted to add in here, Max?
Love yourself, love your neighbor, love everybody.
True. And I can't stress this enough. Love me.
Love him.
But I've been Clayton Gentleman.
I've been Sir Maxim, and as always,
Stay critical, darlings.
Goodbye.